The Neptune Beach City Council has voted not to bring in new apartments and hotels where an old Kmart was. Dozens of residents protested against that and fear that it would change the small beach town vibe. First Coast News' Jeff Vallon is there live where some big crowds gathered tonight. Jeff?
Well, that's exactly right, Heather. And in order to turn this 3 years vacant Kmart into a 174-unit apartment complex and 74-room hotel, Georgia-based Tribridge Residential, that developer, would have to satisfy each of 8 requirements on a stringent list, and perhaps even a harder hurdle to overcome from last month when the Neptune Beach Community Development Council, that board, I should say, voted unanimously against it.
Yes.
With that unanimous vote, victory for the hordes of Neptune Beach residents opposing the redevelopment of this old Kmart property on Atlantic Boulevard into an apartment complex and hotel. They came confident.
I anticipate a very large crowd and I anticipate a win.
But not taking any chances. No. Some 19 speaking their minds officially about everything from privacy.
They will have windows and balconies looking directly into our backyards, our homes, and our pools.
To property values.
According to the study, having a home next to an apartment complex is the third biggest dragger of home values, falling only behind bad schools and strip clubs.
Stress on infrastructure.
How will the new explosion in population impact our roads, water, sewer, congestion, traffic, and other services provided by the city?
And perhaps most of all, traffic.
I heard 2 of the 3 speakers from the applicant say no detrimental effect on traffic. How do you say that without a traffic study?
In the end, a loss for developer Tribridge Residential, who chose not to speak on camera.
Hopefully, they'll take a step back. They'll engage with citizens in a good faith effort to come up with a plan we can all get behind.
Now, Tribridge does have 30 days to appeal, but perhaps it will be changing its plan. It did send me a statement reading in part, "We are disappointed with the vote, but remain committed to revitalizing the blighted site of the former Kmart and transforming it into a vibrant mixed-use community that will benefit the entire beaches region. We appreciate everyone who has taken the time to provide constructive feedback, and we will continue to incorporate as much as possible into our proposed development." Live in Neptune Beach, Jeff Vallon, First Coast News on your side.